Innovative comedy.
Okay, Tony's still getting his gears together, but I'm Cool Ass Cam, the coolest motherfucker on the planet, and today I'm here with the homies, and we want to talk some shit and laugh.
Hey.
That being said, make sure you tap in with our website, www.theinnovativeculture.com. Follow us on Instagram at innovative.culture, and subscribe to our YouTube at youtube.com/innovativeculture. Who I got in the building with me today?
What's good? It's your boy Tony Grams here. Innovative Culture, Innovative Comedy. It's Wednesday again. And here, follow me on IG at Tony Grams, TONY_GRAMS. And shit, who else we got in here?
Oh, yes, Lord, you got your boy DJ Punch in this motherfucker. Make sure you follow me at I am DJ Punch, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, the host Shabam Boo, baby.
What's good, y'all? It's Shon Lomax, 9 East Coast. I guess I could say you could follow me, but if y'all niggas don't like my post, don't follow me worth shit.
The press on the intro. See, you gotta lay it out like that for them. That way, when they come, they know what to expect.
I got press.
You already know. But I'll do Sean_Lomax. Hey, but if you're a hoop person too, follow my hoop page on TikTok, Venice Stories. I still cross you over.
Definitely got the dope ass pics from Venice
I do.
Beach.
On iPhone too. I be tagging Apple. Don't nobody even hit me back and shit. Punch know the vibe.
You need a check. You need a check from Apple. This is some bullshit.
It is. I shoot everything on the iPhone purposely. You know, and a lot of people think it's a bunch of dudes behind it. I just recently put a post up letting people know that there's a woman behind it. I used to hoop for years all the way through to the Navy and shit. Motherfuckers still be talking shit. I'm like, I'll cross your mom over even if she on disability. The bitch ain't got no knees.
Ankles.
I'll take her
Fuck your
whole
ankles.
SSI check.
Take auntie's ankles and your grandma's knees. Hell yeah. For real.
Explode the calves.
What was your hoop name? Did you have a hoop name?
Nah, just my brother, he played ball for years, and he actually got scouted by Georgetown. He's an asshole, though. That nigga didn't teach me how to hoop at all. So, but he was a natural, though. He was. We're not close at all, if you can't tell, and stuff like that. But rest in peace. But he not dead, though. But but like on some real shit. No, I didn't have a hoop name. It's just like I was in the military. I played all the way through Navy, and everybody just called me like Lil Low because they call him Low. But I deaded that shit because once they gave me like gun training, so that changed it. And some motherfuckers start calling me Low.
That's crazy. What's going on, Tony? You got shows coming up? What's up, man?
Tony on his phone.
Shows. No, I'm just going over my little topics and. Oh yeah, no,
I got
supposed
to do that shit before the show.
Yeah, hey, this is how we here. We natural. This is a natural state.
Hey, but Punch, why Tony pulling out the Oprah card and shit? He's like, this is show and shit. I gotta pull this out. Let me.
Oh,
see.
You got the tablet, bro. I didn't know you pulled out the fucking tablet.
Wow.
I thought you was on the phone doing that shit.
That's the phone right here.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
I'm live.
You over here acting professional. I think you would look more professional with it on the table. Just
tapping and titillating.
Yeah.
I'm like titillating. What the fuck?
I don't know.
No.
What movie is this? You titillating?
Yeah, hey, it's getting intense. No.
I like that.
No, I got
like
some
that.
shit coming up at the end of the month, and closer near the end of the month. And I'm probably gonna bring the shows back at the bar just because it's actually warmed up again.
Okay.
I was doing comedy at the bar I work at, and I had stopped it maybe last October.
Okay.
And it was like cold as fuck, and now it's actually nice.
Okay.
Hot. So
it's cold inside the bar?
No, I'm talking about just outside. It was raining. Our weather was kind of
Okay.
shitty out here for like a while.
So we live with Tony. He only do comedy when it's the summertime.
Yeah, I do it
Okay.
when people gonna show up.
Got you. I feel you.
It's just practice if ain't nobody here.
Okay, so he's a seasonal
Practice,
comedian,
right?
ladies and gentlemen. He's a seasonal comedian.
Seasonal. Hey, for all seasons. Yeah.
Mike Lowry in the building.
A G for
Punch,
all
that's that
seasons.
Lowry
All
seasoning sauce.
seasons.
Lowry.
All
seasons.
All seasonings. Let me find out.
Steak without the gravy.
Hell yeah. Nah,
Country
man.
fried. Well, yeah, just getting that shit done, and been doing just other little stuff here and there, and just working on We've been doing that little cartoon. That shit been.
Okay.
That's just funny. Yeah. And getting our shows together. It's been better shows, more hosts. I mean, not hosts, but guests, and this has been a cool since we hit 100. It seems like it is like a good run of just. It's been chill, with good guests, with new guests, and people coming in, good people. So
I appreciate y'all having me here. It's a dope little setup. I appreciate the vibe. I appreciate the vibe. Just remember me. You know what I mean? Your Emmy speech. I'm gonna talk shit if you don't.
Golden Globe.
Whatever the fuck.
I'm gonna get an Emmy.
I'm going to the Tonys.
Okay.
I just want a Tony.
Okay, not the Tony.
Like, I'm gonna get in the play just so I can get a Tony. They be like, so this is my yeah, they made this after me. I'm gonna just lie and just flex on people. No.
That's dope. Well, for some of y'all that don't know, Shon is a comedy writer. Been in the game for a minute. Very creative person. She been doing her thing. I didn't know that you just started picking up a camera. To be real, I thought that was your get down for the longest, which just kind of blew my mind when you first told me that you was a writer. Period. Yeah. Let alone a comedy writer. Once you said comedy writer, I was like, oh yeah, I got the perfect show to put you on.
Right.
But like, how did you get started in writing? Period. Have you always been a writer?
Yeah, I have actually. My dad was like 20 years older than my mom. Just give it a little bit of backstory. But I've been reading since I was a kid and writing. I started reading when I think I was like 4, and he was 20 years her senior. They met on music. So I think the story was like he used to play music to her stomach or some shit like that. So like I kind of came out like talking. And so I started reading very early, started writing at 6. I was first published when I was 8.
Damn.
And
Prodigy.
Yeah, well, maybe. And so just tell the white person still owe me like 4 checks.
Break bread.
4 checks and a book of stamps.
Residuals.
And but I was a kid, like I'm from a different time, so like it was classic television, so everything had a theme song. So I was a kid, I was like a latchkey kid, so I was always home by myself. Everybody's older than me. So yeah. So I always recorded, television, and I write film, television, theater across the board. I am really that nigga. And for me, television pulled me in a way because like my home life, I'm not gonna go too much into that, was just like not my vibe. My mom worked a lot, so a good person and everything like that, work hard and shit, but like television was like my saving grace. And then also too, I was a big reader, and the only issue I took with, I guess, establishing myself as a writer, because I noticed throughout school a lot of teachers would separate me from my friends. You know what I mean? And so I grew up dancing, hooping, all that stuff. I got called like white girl a lot for a long time because the way I spoke.
Anytime, Anytime you doing anything.
And that bothered me because it's like it's as if intellect is reserved only for white people.
Exactly.
That's some bullshit. You feel me? And so like when people realized I could actually hoop and I could dance, that made me black. And I was like, I thought that was ignorant as fuck. But a friend of mine who was in a drama club, ironically, I never was. My best friend Frazier, he was like, "Lo, you really should just keep writing." And I was like, okay, cool. Never thought any more about it. Went in the military, wrote a little bit. I wrote an article because a girl got gang raped on that ship. And I almost lost like my rank. They threatened to kick me out. And I decided
exposing the truth pretty much.
Absolutely. And I've always been that way. I'm a very transparent person. I live my life according to such. And most importantly, when I got out the military, my biggest reason for getting out is because when we would be in other countries, I saw U.S. occupation was unwarranted. I wrote a lot throughout that time in between, like drinking a lot. I almost died twice in Italy because I drank so much Tanqueray.
It's always
Tanqueray in Italy?
On some real shit. Like,
in Italy, he was drinking
on some real shit, because y'all from a different generation. So you know how y'all
just
have...
real quick.
Go ahead.
One of my close homies, he told his aunt, we used to always drink, and his aunt came in one day.
Tell me.
She goes, she was much older. She goes, the first time I ever drank Tanqueray, I went blind for 3 hours.
God damn.
Yeah, that shit put a hole in your chest.
And I never drank Tanqueray after that. I just stopped drinking.
I switched when I got back stateside. I switched to Bombay, like Sapphire.
Say that's literally what I switched.
I'm drinking Tanqueray.
That's hilarious. That's what I started drinking.
You feel me?
Yeah. And when I stopped fucking with Tanqueray.
Yeah, Tanqueray will put your ass in jail.
How are y'all drinking Tanqueray though? Y'all drinking it straight or what?
I was drinking it straight.
You can drink it straight shots.
Your generation got like bottle service and all that shit. We was doing that
like a bitch because I don't remember that.
We was throwing orange juice, but she said she was like she went blind for 3 hours. She couldn't see shit.
That shit put a hole in your chest. All I know is like whenever I did Tanqueray, so that I catch a DUI, catch a case, whatever. Like dumb shit. When you're in the military, you kind of can slide a little bit and everything. But like just going back to Punch's initial question, like for me, I've been a writer like my entire life. Like I always tell people I didn't come to LA to become a writer. I arrived as such. And so, people get it mixed up or get it twisted. They think it's music. No disrespect, people do music, but it's like people write things other than music. You know what I mean? My parents met on music, but I'm not a music person and everything. I could be. I don't play no shit, which does bother me, by the way, y'all.
Do you ever pick anything up and just it kind of hits you a little bit naturally? Like, I'm not saying like you picking some shit up, you playing Beethoven or whatever. Like, you ever pick up, play chopsticks, and for some reason chopsticks come a little easy to you on the piano?
Well, the drums did. The drums did. I'm pretty decent on the drums, but like a good friend of mine who's also stand-up comedian, Damari Levice. If you listen to this, D Mizzle, I love you. He gave me a electric acoustic guitar for my birthday. He was just like, "Lo, I know you can play that shit. I can just tell." And I'm like, "Nah." But writing my whole life, I used to do spoken word too. I actually opened up for Gil Scott-Heron. I'm probably getting my age a little
dope.
bit.
That's
but I opened up him towards the end of the phase of his life. It was at the National Black Theater Festival in Winston-Salem.
That's no knock on my brother's head.
Yeah.
The revolution will not be televised for y'all. For y'all that ain't knowing. I just had to drop that.
I appreciate that, Tony. And it was kind of crazy because it's like at that point I've been doing spoken word, and I was on a slam tour, which I'm not a big fan of that because I don't think like poetry for points. I think it's bullshit.
Yeah,
and I remember
I
I did a thing in Nashville.
What is that? Explain that to me.
Well, slamming is when, you know, it's a series of poets who get up and they just, it's like a competition.
Oh, okay,
and for me, I was just like, I used to be a real big drinker. So for me, I was like, I stumbled upon it, like, you know, looking for drinks. And I was like, what is this? And they was like, oh, it's a slam. And I was like, they said, you have to be quiet. I said, I don't think so. So I just started flicking shit off the dome. And they was like, well, you know, you won. And then it was like $10 or $20. I said, oh, no, you won. I'm going to get this shit back to you. And so then they asked me to be on their slam team. When I got to New York, this is when I was living in North Carolina, and the first teams I beat out was like New Yorican or some shit like. So they, you know, they had that little shit. I moved to New York later, so they had a little beef about that, you know, which never got resolved. You know, come for me if you want to. I still got the words.
True to this, I ain't new to this.
I ain't new to it. Yeah.
You got a whole beef going on.
I mean, it was just
poetry beef.
No, it's like I know a lot of people get up and they do like the whole memorized type shit. If it's a white poet and he's doing some comedic type shit. If it's a black man, he got locks and stuff. He on some angry type shit. If it's like Slim Dude, some shit like Tony, he on some comedy type shit. If it's a nigga that looked like me and stuff, they weren't used to it because I was asking the audience for words. So because I was coming off the top of Dome and smashing niggas and shit, they was like, oh, so you got people in the audience. So when we got to Boston, I'm like, I don't know nobody in Boston. I don't know nobody here and stuff like that. And it's like, how do you know some innocent? Because my life is filled with a lot of pain, so I got a whole lot to say. You feel me? So I come from that.
Got a story to tell.
Yeah, so I'm a storyteller by nature. That's why I picked up like my phone too. Shout out to Ice too. Ice was the first person to tell me you have a good eye. You always out here filming in Venice, and you know I'm drawing the basketball obviously because I hoop, but I'm not like that passion for it the way everyone else has it. That's not me, and I know it's ironic because I got a hoop page, but my passion, my gifts, I feel like that God has given me is to tell stories, you know, in whatever way, shape, or form. And like I was telling Punch on the way up, you know, I really thought that I would like hit in my 20s. I burned some bridges, you know. I lived in LA before. I burned some bridges. I was Kanye before Kanye, and I am a Gemini. I really am. You know, I actually, and I'm gonna put this out a little bit. I actually had a meeting with Usher's people. This was like back in the day, and at the time I had a baseball film I had written, and I had written it for my best friend. It was called Spring Fever, and so great meeting, you know. And they popped out the like Martinelli's. I got on their radar because of Martin had a female cousin. I was performing in Los Feliz. She came in, you know, and I'm cocky, I'm swag, Gemini, all day, East Coast. She was like, "You kind of funny. It sounds really funny. The only reason why people think you funny because you related to Martin."
Damn.
Your turn. So, you know, I didn't know at the time, and then the girl that I was dating, she was working on the Jamie Foxx show, so she knew Fancy. I think her name is Garcelle
we know
Bouvier.
Fancy,
of course. And so
Gabrielle
it's Garcelle Bouvier.
Yeah,
Garcelle
that's
Bouvier.
it.
So at the time, I'm really aging myself. At the time, I had just did a spec for a show called Just Shoot Me.
I remember.
Right.
That.
So it got around.
David Spade,
right.
And Brooke Shields.
Well, this was before Brooke Shields had got on.
Okay.
That's what, but anyway, I written it, and so it was circulating. So I was getting a little buzz about that, and so literally, I ended up on that set, and I kind of met Jamie Foxx kind of in passing because the people that was reading it, Jamie kind of was like low key, was like, I thought you'd be like, I think he thought I was a white guy. And so he was like, you know, said some shit. It's like, I thought you was white, and I said, I thought you'd be funnier. And my girlfriend at the time, she was like, babe, I really wish you hadn't said that because he probably's not going to even read the rest of it now. And I was like, okay, it's Hollywood, I don't care.
You just stand up for yourself though. Like,
yeah, because I get that a lot. People really think that I'm a white Jewish guy on paper. I don't get it. Like
Horowitz.
Right.
Is it your type of comedy or something that you write that got people thinking that? Or is it the racist fact that it's like it was good?
Nah, because I have a show. I have a show that's set in the antique store, and it's called Table Saw, and it's and the sometimes, and I'm not worried if anybody's stealing and stuff like that, but I'll find you and kill you. And but it's about an out-of-work teacher that takes a job reluctantly in a
antique store.
And so I remember when I did a couple meetings, people just thought like, oh, I think they really thought a white person was coming in. And so when my name is spelled S-H-O-N, so phonetically it looks like it's a guy's name. And so at that point, I don't have representation. So anything I get, I do on my own. You know what I mean? So I've been through it. Nobody's not going to tell me that I'm not, you know, a writer. I write across the board. But I appreciate what you said, Punch, about the camera, because honestly, when I started covering the writer's strike, this other writer told me, he's like, yo, you ever thought about being a DP? And I was like, no, why? I said, but from your mouth to God's ears. And he was like, why? He said, because like for you to be new, he said you have a really good eye. And he said you ask a ton of questions and stuff. And I feel like becoming a DP would be an awesome thing. But like most things in LA, no disrespect to the West, but I don't understand why LA makes shit like so hard. Like New York is hard, the South is hard, things like that.
Everybody's doing it and everybody's making it hard for everybody else.
Yeah,
that's why it's over flooded with.
Right.
That's what it is.
But I mean,
that's one part, I feel.
Maybe, Tony, but I just feel like oftentimes, too, like, it be the same people, right? air quotes here, that be sitting like on shows, podcasts, and all that stuff, you know, because they didn't create it like little avenues and other little production companies saying, you know, we looking for this, we looking for that. But then when you meet people, and I don't ask people for shit, I don't. I really be posted up in the spot, like whatever, you know, and people that know me are introduced and whatever. But the person who's like the main person, it's always some vibe. I can be quiet as fuck. If it's a bar, that's where you can find me. And they be on some like threatening type shit, and I'm like, I'm really arrived on this motherfucker like skateboard P on a longboard and shit in a backpack and a camera. Your ass has got security and about to go and get in this Maybach, whatever the fuck y'all driving out here. So like it's a threatening type vibe.
When you can connect with people that I was just talking about that earlier, when it's like when there's comedians and people won't speak to you till they see somebody that's they might feel they're bigger than you. And they might get more shows or get paid more and then there's somebody that's been doing this shit longer than both of us combined. That's been getting the bread, and then they see you and that person speaks to you first, and then they're like, oh, now I have to, and that's how you get a lot of the fake shit.
Let me ask you this:
how
do you gauge that? Because like Punch knows me, you know, from an extension of just our relationship at the beach and stuff like that. But I mean, what he does know about me is that I don't mince words. You know what I mean? And my thing is, how do you gauge the bullshit?
You just keep your eyes open for it, and I mean, I've just seen a lot of bullshitters in my life. So when I see people that's like, I could tell you just full of shit, and it's a lot of that. It's people that'll, like when I first started doing comedy, it was motherfuckers that would only invite me to shows. They were not booking me. I was getting booked on my own shit. I was
doing it yourself,
going around getting mics, and usually that's the easiest way to get booked is hitting mics, because other comics do their shows, see you and be like, hey, I'm doing a show, hey, get on this, or hit this person up. So that's how I made a lot of comedy friends, and it was a year before 2020. So when COVID happened, nobody was doing shit. Then they opened up all the little underground that, you know, comedy clubs. We was all in there, and I was making even more friends. And then you start seeing when we hitting the shows again, and when the people that weren't in those little hole in the walls during 2019 and 2020, when they see the dudes that were and it was sometimes big name people in those hole in the walls, and then when they see you and y'all chopping it up and smoking, and it's like that's how I keep my eyes open for it, because this person was already speaking to me in 2019 and in 2020, and now you just I was seeing you in 2019 and 2020, and you was just like you didn't see me, you didn't have to talk, you don't have to say hi to me, I don't know you, you don't know me.
That change of game gets me some type of way.
And like, then they want to, once they see the relationship with you and other comedians, then it's, oh, what's up, bro? And it's like, bro, I've been knowing you like 2 years. Not even knowing you, but knowing.
I know what you mean.
We've been sitting in the same room for 2 years or more. And you want to talk to me in 2021.
I've had those experiences, though. I mean, without even the position of being in a different place from when you first met somebody. But like knowing somebody or seeing somebody for 2 years straight, right? And then not having a conversation with them, to where you even get in your own head and you sit there and look at them and go like, I've been around you for 2 fucking years. Why have I never had a conversation with you? Why have you never said what's up to me? Like,
or I had a conversation with you,
like,
and you was cool during, like it was this one dude, and it just was on my head the last week, because I seen him on. He had a little. This is fresh. He had like a little 15-minute special on Tubi.
Tubi.
Because I fuck with Tubi. I'm not a Tubi hater. I like Tubi, but I've just realized the tools of Tubi, of how it's because I always went to Pluto for like the live TV effect, but Tubi has that if you go live TV, and they actually have shows with like Soulja Boy has like they follow Soulja Boy around for like the last year, and it's like it's just sad, low key. It's not supposed to be, but it's very. we'll talk about that later. Remind me to bring that back up. So so they had a show that they have little comedy. They have they have a Revolt channel. They have a bunch of different channels. So they have one that it's a comedy channel, and I see this dude that I've done a few open mics with. He would chop it up with me. Low key, we had Sadiqa here last week. Sadiqa Scarlett. He'd be in the room with me, Sadiqa, and he'd be sitting there and chopping it up. We'd probably be the only black people in the room. And so I seen him. This was like right before, like this was right after during the pandemic, or after everything was open. So like I said, he would talk and chop it up with everybody. And now we're doing this big show in North Hollywood at the Comedy Chateau. And it's a packed room. Usually at the Chateau is usually always a packed place. So I got maybe 3 people there to see me, and they got a table. We all chilling, they drinking. So I usually don't even look at the like the person will usually come up to me like, "Hey, you gonna go last or second to last?" Or they'll come up and
they'll
just
let you know. Yeah.
So I don't even know.
The rotation.
I usually don't even know where the paper is.
Okay.
Unless I forget where they told me I was going up, or damn, what number is it? Who's this person that's up? And I can look to see how far it is to me.
Okay.
So I'm out looking at the paper, and I'm like, okay, I'm like 2 people from it, whatever. And I'll walk out. I walk back into the room where the show is going on, and this dude, he's walking out, and he has a mask on, he has his hat on, but I look when you look at somebody's eyes, and I see it's the dude from that used to like kick it with us, and he's like. And like he just kind of looks, and I'm kind of like, because at first I don't realize it's him, because I'm not wearing a mask.
Okay.
Like nigga, you got a mask and a hat on, like Carmen Sandiego or some shit, nigga. Like I'm like.
Says the person wearing the Darkwing Duck.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, but I would think you would look at me and see me and be like, oh, what up, my nigga? Like that. I'm not hidden. Like so so I looked at it, and it was almost like he was just hoping I didn't say nothing. Yeah. And then I just he just walked by, and I just kind of, and it was the same shit like you said, I was just sitting there, and it was I went up, maybe it was like 1 or 2 people before, and I'm just kind of, and I'm still it didn't ruin my time or nothing, but I was like, the fuck? Like,
Tony was low-key thinking about making that shit part of his bed.
I low-key
was hurt.
And it bothered me because we were, other than my guest and him, we were the only black people there. We're in North Hollywood in a club full of white people, so I feel like you don't want to talk to me here. Right. But on Melrose, it was cool when we was around, like, and it was kind of sketchy, and the big dude from LA.
Friends over there.
Yeah, the big dude from LA that's smoking weed and that know everybody. It's cool to kind of stand next to him and talk. Yeah. But now around the white people, it's kind of like. So I went up, did my shit at a great show. I come down, and I went back and looked at the paper, and he was like one comic after the guy after me. So I went and I told him, I was like, yeah, we gonna just stay for this last dude. And after the guy after me, then we all just got up, and as we were leaving, he was like getting ready to go on stage. He kind of looked like all of the other black people were leaving. I just kind of looked at him and just made our way out and bounced, because I had a good night, but it was just, but that's the fake shit of like, because I was like, I'm not going to sit here and.
I've had experiences like that, but then I've also had experiences where that's happened and I've been in my head.
Okay.
And I've said to myself, like legitimately, I've said to myself, I'm going to be the one that reaches out. Fuck it. I'm going to say what's up. And then I'll know actually what it is. You know what I mean? Because instead of me sitting here being in my head trying to guess, if I approach you and I actually say what's up and start talking to you, then I'll be able to find out exactly where you stand. You know what I mean? And a lot of the times, it'll go cool to where from now on, every time I see that person, it's like, what's good? How you doing? I'll give you a perfect example, and it's just being completely honest.
Okay.
I've been doing VBL for a long time, right? The Venice Basketball League. I had never had a conversation with David, the photographer.
Which one's two Davids?
The dude that was showing up looking like Jack Harlow.
Okay.
he was for a little bit. I had never had a conversation with him, right?
Okay.
He never said what's up to me. I never said what's up to him. It would be the point where I would walk up to circles and say what's up to everybody. But because I had never talked to him, like low-key, he would get skipped. Or vice versa.
Facts.
And then this year I thought about it and I was like, I'm going to be the one that says what's up to him. And the second I said what's up to him, it was like, what's good, Punch? How your year been? This and that, blah, blah, blah. And I felt like maybe he was waiting for the moment. Or maybe he was thinking the same thing I was. Like, man, what the fuck going on here?
But you know what, though? That's just some LA shit, though. Because it's like, it shouldn't take that long. You feel me? Mm-hmm. Like, what you did, Tony, so like that, and that was Tony's story time, sponsored by Weed Maps.
Yeah.
And
I even know Weed Maps in a minute.
You know, but
I go on Weed Maps.
You feel me, Punch? And it's like, but I feel like with your energy though, Punch, is like mad chill. Like, you know, you have an approaching vibe. You feel me? So like, if you felt some type of way, then it probably really was happening like that. You know, and I ain't even really gonna expound it because it'd be some bullshit that be taking place up there. But
at the beach.
At the beach, right near the
right
beach.
By the beach, boy.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But I just feel like sometimes LA is just like how Tony described it. It's almost like that's every situation. I get it. It's a business. You're naive if you're a creative person, artist, you know, musician, filmmaker, writer, whatever it is that you do, and everything, the extension of your personality, whatever you're pursuing. If you really think it's anything other than that, you have to have business savvy. You have to understand it's a business. You know,
it ain't friendship. It's
right?
business.
It's not. But you know, the sad part about it is like every relationship be transactional.
Man,
like you understand what I'm saying? Like pretty much all my heroes, from literary to music to comedy, all my heroes are dead. You know, and that's real shit. Anybody that I ever wanted to work with is dead, and that's real. And you know, and I don't care about, you know, aging myself by any means. You know, I'm cool with who I am, but
experience in life.
You know, it is, and then the ones who are around, just a few exchanges I've had, like in passing. It's been disingenuous. So it's almost like from the hood to the good. Either, you know, you can speak a certain way and it's almost like, oh, hey, Shon, how's it going? It's great. This person, you know, they'll be super excited, you know, like they want to connect the dots, you know, and I'm not a person on bandwagon anything. I'm always dolo wherever I am, you know, and I'm also always good wherever I am, simply because, you know, I respect everybody, you know, until you disrespect me, you know, and even then I won't even address it because you're not even on my level, you know, so why even do that? But I just feel like in LA, everything is transactional, and then even people who you thought you can count on, like you can't, you know what I'm saying? And it's like it just feels like you're alone, like all the time. Like even when you get invited to shit, like even when Punch invited me to this, like on some real shit, and this has nothing to do with Punch. It's not a reflection of he nor my relationship. I didn't expect to do the podcast. You know, and I appreciate, you know, all of you guys. You guys are amazing. It's a dope setup. Also, too, I feel blessed. This is my first podcast.
Oh, dope.
You know, yeah.
Hey,
and I told Punch literally on the way up, like I've been invited to a couple, and got turned down when the main person saw or whatever. Somebody was threatened, or somebody felt bothered by a blog that I written. Had one guy say, "Oh, so you're a real writer? Like you're just really politically staunch on just things that you feel?" And I said, "Yes. I'm a black woman living in America."
That's my opinion,
you know. And I said, but my opinions are steeped in experiences, real life experiences. So I'm not just pulling shit out of my ass extraneously. You know, they're based on experiences. I don't know how to be anyone else other than myself. You know, and I think oftentimes people, me and Punch was talking about that on the way up. Oftentimes people, and you made a good point, Punch. Sometimes people may not have, I guess, that experience, or if they do, they're not, you know, willing to. Hear a rebuttal or even expect a rebuttal. And I think most people, like for me, I miss honestly cooking for my friends. I miss my spot being the spot where everybody came to like smoke and drink and chill. It was always a meal and everything like that. Yeah, I miss that. All my friends are mad talented. All my music is, and I put what little money I have left in my bank, because I just paid rent, and so my checking account is really doing a Humpty dance right now, saying, "Nigga, what the fuck?" Like on some real shit. And you know, I put that on everybody. My friends are mad talented, you know, and a lot of them, if they happen to listen to this, and I love y'all and everything, a lot of things in their life have taken place, and fear has come into the space, and which explains why a lot of them are where they still are. But I will put them up against some of the best people that's doing music, doing this and that, simply because one, there's connection there, there's authenticity, and there's a real talent. I feel like a lot of people get put on out here simply because, like, speaking of, I did I was at the Comedy Store. This was like maybe 6 or 7 years ago. My boy Demarie and his boy Mike had a show. They had a room.
The belly room?
Yeah, I think so. Upstairs. Yeah. And so they asked me to host. And I'm not being mean. I'm no stand-up comic, but I'm a funny motherfucker. And so I had a lot of comedians saying, it's hard for us to go up after you because people are really laughing more at what you're saying. I was getting that a lot.
Yeah, that's some bullshit. Yeah. If you can't go up after the host.
After the host.
Yeah. Like, I done did shows where we done had all kind of hosts, and I didn't co-host it. I didn't host it, and motherfuckers be like, "Hey, bro, you like the perfect host." It's just I'm doing my shit. It's like,
you doing your stuff, but you also are good at what you do too.
Those are insecure motherfuckers that probably just wasn't funny enough already, and they want to blame it on you.
So I'm gonna tell you what I did, right, Tony? You'll like this. Punch will love this too, because Punch know me, right? So on some real shit. So I was like, so after about 4 comedians kind of saying it, right? You know, all of the same hue, by the way. I said, well, you know, I'm seeing to get a little chitter chatter going on, and so the crowd, they all into it and everything. I said, don't forget, you know, 2 drink minimum, you know, tip your bartender, all that shit. And I said, so I think what's happening is, I said, the average, you know, comic and everything, like, sleeps until about noon. So they wake up, turn the TV on, they scratch their nuts and stuff like that. Then they show up 6 hours later. They done wrote a little bit. They all wearing the same ironic T-shirts. The tight jeans that don't fit, but their last girlfriend got for them. But she ain't with them no more because she fucking hit a new dude and shit like that. And they wearing the same ones. So they mad at me. You feel me? So,
it's the story of a lot of comics. And I've seen these dudes, and they be trying to act like they the most. And they be on the shits on MTV but they literally skirting by on somebody else's dollar.
They are.
And trying to flex on you. It's like, if you gotta live how you gotta live, that's different. Don't try to flex on a nigga.
Yeah. That part.
Like, yeah, nigga, like you that nigga, and then the truth really is.
And then they come out. Literally
not
a
that
dude
nigga at all.
Coming on, you know, because it's so tight in there, right? You know, the bar is like right there, and then the chairs is literally almost on
right when you like,
it's right there. So I like rooms like that. I like it small, sweaty, whatever. And he was like, fuck, I can't go on after you. And I was like, I I know I was talking actually to you. And the crowd just like ripped. And the guy was like, you really should do comedy. I said, no, not really. I said, no, I can't do that. And he said, how do you do that? I said, I'm black and I'm in America. I always do that. Just
I got plenty of material.
Got plenty of material. Like, you know what I mean? And it ain't the shit y'all keep hearing. But I have a great respect for stand up. I think a lot of people think that it's easy, and it's not. You have to, at the core of your being, you have to be a storyteller. The best stand-up comedians, even the ones who had writers, those writers were storytellers. Like I was a huge Richard Pryor fan.
Paul Mooney.
Right. When I wasn't a big Mooney fan, only because I met him. I was with my boy John, who's a stand-up comic. We was at the Popeyes.
I don't know what's wrong with these people.
Popeyes and on Hollywood.
The one on Cahuenga.
Cahuenga, and it's still there, right?
The ghetto ass.
Right.
The one that's right next to stations. Was it 1640 or 16?
So Tony, this was back in the day. So my boy John, he was all like intimidated, whatever. I'm myself and everything. So he eating like a 2-piece joint, but the special, right? So me, I'm always with the shits, right? So, but I'm on my writer's side. I say, hey, he said, excuse me, Mr. Mooney. I said, my friend John, he's a stand-up comic. He said, he said, don't you see I'm eating? I said, well, nigga, I see you eating the 2-piece shit and stuff like that. But I give you $5, get the other one. And he just like looked back, stuff like that, and I looked back too. And I was like, that shit was about to be black on black crime because I don't give a fuck. Like,
gonna knock his bandana
you feel
off.
me?
Yeah. He would have laughed though.
Knocked his scarf
No, but on
off.
some real shit, he just leaned back just like that. He did have one like it wasn't a kufi, but it was like a little shit. You know what I mean? And he just leaned back, and I'm like, bro, first of all, it's hot as fuck outside. You got on brown, no beige, but brown. How do you offset your body temperature? Fuck out of here. And John was like, hey, Sean, it's okay. I was like, it's not okay.
He's cooling his core.
You know what I mean? You feel me, Tony? I'm like, the nigga look hot. He had on fall colors and shit. He looked hot.
He dressed like a UPS
bro. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It is July.
Like, bro, you had a 2-piece. He had no drink. He had the biscuit. He had that little special. You feel me? I'm just saying. So it's like, bro, you wasn't even eating the white meat. You had a thigh, and I still remember that shit because that shit made me bitter. And I almost said some Richard Pryor shit because I'm a huge Richard Pryor fan, and I didn't. And John was like, I'm so glad you didn't go like into like, because I can get real technical with facts and stuff like that. And I never was a Paul Mooney fan. I respected obviously his.
Sean was about to be like, remember that time you cheated Richard Pryor on
on some real shit.
My uncle told me a crazy Paul Mooney story.
Tell me.
And he said it was like the early mid '90s, and I remember everybody would be in Hollywood, and this is when Hollywood was trash still. Like, people think Hollywood is still low-key trash. It's just expensive trash.
Right.
But Hollywood,
they done cleaned it up though.
Hollywood was like, it was just another part of downtown.
Your uncle talking about when Studio Cafe was actually open.
All that shit was
actually
when
open.
that shit was homeless people, 18th Street.
Right.
And it was fucking crazy. It wasn't nothing to be like, you see the tourists because they get robbed.
Yeah.
But it was when your people would be like, I want to go to Hollywood, you'd be like, why?
Why?
That would be everybody like, why? It was like, because we didn't realize people from out of state still thought it was this grand ass, and it was horrible. So I remember my uncle, he was like, yeah, this is like years ago, and he's telling me the story. And he goes like, yeah, me and Russell, and Russell's one of my uncle's best friends since I've been they all grew up in the same neighborhood. They came from Detroit, and he was like, so Russell's like light-skinned dude, green eyes, like kind of like buff. In the 80s when niggas wore the little slingshot muscle, and the tight jeans and some Reeboks, like that was like the 80s, early 90s.
So he had the nipple prints, but go ahead.
Down here. But he was in one of them niggas.
Okay.
So my uncle and Russell, they walk in, they like going to the movies in Hollywood, and he's like, we waiting at the light. And he's like, I look.
Sound like a nigga named Russell.
Exactly. Russell.
I got a character named
Russell was a brand of the jersey.
So Russell, my uncle, and they standing there, and my uncle was like, him and like Russell was standing there, and he just kind of, like they looked at each other.
Okay.
And he's like, we just felt something like weird.
Okay.
And he's like, we look back, and it's Paul Mooney in the back of a limousine with the window like half cracked, just staring at them.
Oh wow!
He was on
and he said, and Russell, even when Russell told the story, he was like, bro, I felt like my ass got hot, like he was staring like that hard at our asses.
Yeah.
He's like, nigga,
wow.
like he said, and then he said that's why we looked at each other and looked, and it was just, and then he was like, he rolled the window down. And he said he asked for directions to like some club that was open back then. But it's like
you knew where that shit was.
He said it's like 2 in the afternoon, like 2:30.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's the so and so.
Your driver should be asking.
Yeah, low key.
That part.
And it was just like he was like Paul Mooney. Like it was just.
Did he have a little head shit on too at the same time?
He said he had the still. He always had that. He had that on in was it the Richard Pryor roast? And when Paul Mooney and Robin Williams. And John Witherspoon, because they were part of all Richard's writing team and just his homies.
Those are all my guys too.
Yeah, and they're all legendary.
Yep.
So it's like, just that story of and you saying and where he told me it happened is literally like 2 lights down from the Popeyes.
Mm-hmm.
So when you just said that, literally like that's Cahuenga. This is like either Ivar or either fucking like.
Because Ivar's where the library is. That's why I used to go.
And right where the Scientology building is on Ivar, right across. Because I used to go to school. My last year of high school, I had to go in Hollywood.
Okay.
And I would get off the bus on Ivar in Hollywood. So
ain't the thought of a limousine a little creepy now?
Nowadays, extra weird.
Nowadays it's weird as fuck. Shit. Back in the day,
it was
in the
luxurious.
90s, like it was probably luxurious.
It was like,
but these days, if you're not in a Sprinter van or some shit like that, you know what I mean?
That was like the level of I made it.
Yeah.
Right.
I got a limo. Yeah. Like, we in a limo, nigga. That shit.
So maybe Tony, when I called him in Popeyes, he was on like, you know what I'm saying?
He had the limo parked around the corner in an alley.
Yeah.
His driver was like tuning somebody up in the back.
Nah, man.
Tenderizing them for Mooney.
Oh, no. That shit was weird as shit, though. But it's like, I'm like, damn, has he always been this angry? Because he just like lashed out at us.
And I just watched, I was saying it last week, I just watched the last special. That was one of the questions, was the Paul Mooney. I just watched a random Paul Mooney special at like 4 in the morning on YouTube.
Okay.
And it was funny as hell, but one thing I've always looked at and peeped about his comedy or about him, he was angry because he's like, they took a lot of shit from him. And then he was just like, if you kind of look at everybody he was involved with, they all eventually got, even John Witherspoon, they all got their due.
Right.
And it's kind of like, he got it. He got it because we recognize him as that's Paul Mooney,
right?
And he's the man, and he's legendary, and he assisted and wrote half the shit that these motherfuckers are legendary for. Yeah. But it's like, I think him being so outspoken, like you said about yourself,
right?
Like when you don't, like, I'm just not taking shit,
right?
And when you get to people, like you said, y'all going back and forth in Popeyes,
right?
But that was his outtake.
I would have thought that he would have looked at you and just been like, respect.
Yeah, but he just seen.
Hey, but punch the people around us was because that Popeyes always stayed like knee deep, like
that shit have been on World Star like 8 times,
like 14 EBT lines. Oh yeah, and I just been like, I didn't have World Star my damn self.
There are 8 World Star moments that didn't happen. I've seen personally watching on World Star, like at that Popeyes, and you could always tell because the newsstand is right around the corner, and then it's the alley, and then it's the club that used to be.
The improv shit?
No, not that. It's,
before that. It's improv now.
It's like a station 1640, and it used to be like Ace of Diamonds and King, not the King, like the strip club, but it was. They
He's our historian on
all of the what is it? The Tuesday when they be the Jamaican shit. What is it? The
Gold Tuesdays.
No, Poom Poom Tuesdays. They used to do it there.
But Tony, I want to jump on something you said earlier though about Paul Mooney. Going back to him, I respect the fact you said he was legendary, and that's cool. But I think his legendary status only came from the fact that he was synonymous. His name was synonymous with other people who were actually greater. And do you think that was the source like of his bitterness? Because I just feel like, because like my boy John was like up and coming, and he was okay as a stand-up. He actually ended up doing like series television, a few shows. He did okay for himself back then. And but I always felt like for me, like Richard was just like the man. So I didn't give a fuck. And this is from a person who writes, that's me, So I feel like when I see them, like they goats to me. And even though Paul wrote for Richard and stuff like that, but Richard put his own vibe on it.
Paul probably didn't have it. And that's what people it sucks to say that about anybody, but some people, and that's why you get people that are writers and music.
But there's honor in making a living, and
it's not that you're a writer because you don't have it.
Yeah, the two are separate though, Punch. Yeah.
But what you were saying, I think his name is synonymous with a lot of different people,
right?
Because
he was in the Black Pack.
Because the way I found out about him in my age group, because you know what I mean, I didn't have uncles and parents that listened to him.
Yeah,
right.
So
neither did I.
Yeah. So what was he on? He was on the Chappelle Show.
I learned of him from just watching Spike Lee movies. Yeah. I love Spike Lee. Growing up, me and my mom used to go watch every fucking Spike Lee movie that came out, and anything that was just and he would be in certain parts or certain stuff would be brought up about him. So that's where I really kind of
the references.
And then I would hear his name and I just would hear him, and then when I finally start seeing him on shit, I can't even remember when I first seen him, but I just remember this nigga. And then I remember seeing him on Dr. Phil,
right?
And he's sitting in the front. He's sitting on stage and a woman in the front row. And they're talking about like just black and white issues, and the lady goes, why don't black people just get over it and this and that and move forward? And he goes, get over it. What the hell are you talking about? Get over that. Why don't you go back to Mexico? And like the whole crowd's like, he goes, oh, you gassed at that, but she just tells me to get over slavery, and you know, but I tell her to go back to Mexico, and it's all like, and Dr. Phil's like, hold on now. Yeah. It was like one of the funniest.
I'm mad Tony sounds just like all of them too.
I remember that moment of like, that was when I first seen him outside of comedy. Yeah. Okay. But I could tell he's just a very defensive. Yeah. Because, and like you said, though, and I feel that is the root of his.
Oh, his bitterness.
He didn't get that. Yeah. Like, he's in the Black Pack, and every member of that is looked at as, Arsenio, Keenan, Robert Townsend, and Eddie Murphy. Right. And he's the other guy. But he's not the other guy to us, but that's what people
But on some
say.
Real shit, though, also all of them, too, have a body of work to stand on. Yes, exactly. Paul's name is synonymous with a lot of people, and I recognize his greatness in that. But also, too, all those people you name, they have, projects and stuff that, transcend time, and they have shit to stand on. Other than him just being a comedy writer, what does he have to stand on? And then when people that's like Chappelle and everybody gave him, like, this new breath pressure and gave him like a new audience when you come in, Punch, because you're younger, you're younger than me. All of y'all in here are much younger than me. But my thing is, it's like he still was mad, and I get it, but like flip that shit into something else. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you got to be this holy Negro and shit, but Negro, damn.
He just, and then I think he was from that era of just like, I am angry.
Because remember Robin Harris?
And I didn't even know till recently how young he fucking was when he died.
Yeah.
He was like, what, like 36?
Like an old ass man.
He looked like a grandpa. But that's like how what Linnell was saying.
Because that's Hollywood.
The side oxtail, the greens, and the ham hocks.
He probably had a plate coming right off stage.
She said he would literally eat and then like take a nap. And
you said the side oxtail?
She said he would have a side of oxtail. Like he'd order like a plate with rice, gravy, chicken breast,
and a side.
Turkey necks, a side of oxtail, and like peach cobbler.
So the oxtail was in a styrofoam cup.
It came out on its own plate.
Yeah,
it was in a styrofoam cup.
And he would just literally, and she was like, after he would just kind of knock out. She was like, that nigga, that was you passed.
And the way he would breathe. I think he probably had sleep apnea.
He was just
probably.
That's a lot of people back then had sleep apnea, and they would die and wouldn't even know about it.
Pretty much.
It was like an advanced version of the
way before the Boondocks episode. Way before the Boondocks episode.
But like, I didn't know he was that young, but yeah, he was like, he's younger than me. Shit, at this point, like, I was like, nigga, that's crazy to even think about that. What he would have done. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and I felt like a lot of people surpassed Mooney on. And it might have been maybe not his pen because he's involved. You can't, he could be like, well, I did this and I did that, or I had a part in this and a part in that, and it's considered legendary. So you give him his credit.
The way I think about it is the way I think he's thought of right now, right?
Right.
To where it's like, as upset as he might have been at the end of the day,
right.
You're still considered a legend.
Right.
People still talk about you.
It was more racial anger too.
They still have stories on you, even on all the racial shit, like anything like that. There's an epic rant that you could find of his from anything, and it just
they have the complexion of the protection for the collection.
It solidifies how funny he was and everything. He's already recognized as that. I think the issue is he didn't see that shit for himself.
But I think too, Punch, to kind of piggyback on what you're saying. Yeah, I don't think they did see it though. I'll be honest with you.
I think he felt like because in the special, somebody gets up and walks out.
Right.
And this is from 01. Mm-hmm. It was, and once I watched it, I didn't search it. It randomly popped up in my algorithm.
Okay.
And I'm just smoking. It's like 3:30 in the morning. I'm like, fuck it, let me watch this shit. And I'm about like 20 minutes in, and he's like doing some shit, and it looked like a room. I told Kim, it reminded me of some shit we would do. It wasn't like some mega show. It was just
fuck you trying to say, dog? No. We be doing mega shows over here.
We do all shows. Like
here, punching his feelings. He was like, we got 4 seats behind me.
While he's talking at one point, he goes, he's like, yeah, well, and he goes, oh, look at him, he's walking out. Look at him. They always send one white person.
You sound just like that.
They always send one white man just to see what I'm doing. Look at him. He literally just left his bit that he was building up. That was funny.
Right.
But I guess whoever the white person was in the room, and then he was just like, and then at another point, he's doing his joke, and he just looks over at somebody in the crowd, and he's like, look at him. He goes, hell, the show's up here, sir. The show right here. He goes, yeah, white people, look, he's looking at all of you, wondering how does this black man have all these people's attention?
Wow.
And he's like, look at him.
All 20.
And everybody's like, he turned it into a joke, and it's funny, but he was dead ass serious.
Yeah.
That bothered
He was clearly
him.
bothered.
Everybody thought it was crowd work.
That one nigga was just looking at the crowd.
So Tony, to me, what you summed up to me was his whole career, and that's why, like for me, I don't feel about Mooney the same way I feel about other people. I don't, because I'm just sort of like, and this before I even had any type of exchange with him. And I'm sort of like, man, like everything.
He's too worried about being recognized as a legend instead of just being the legend.
Just being it.
Yeah, just
being already recognized. Well, the problem is a lot of that shit didn't come out until he died.
Right.
And that's when everybody started coming out and you get your recognition. But
he didn't die until what, like 2 years?
Yeah, he's
I know, but see, even with the internet, that's when everybody starts, oh, he died. Here goes the flush of everything that he's ever done.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Which now everybody's gonna see it. Now it's in the light. Now he gets his recognition.
Right.
But nobody sees that shit. He didn't see that shit till he died. He didn't have that understanding with himself.
Yeah, but it's hard to goat you and shit when you. Yeah, it's hard to goat you though. You know, fellas and shit when you like just a human repellent. You feel me? And that was his whole vibe. And it's like even like how Tony gave example, he did the whole.
Imagining you going on fucking Tony.
Yeah, and this is
fucking Paul Mooney.
Yo, and
Popeye. He holding a chicken's eye and shit.
And y'all, and some real shit. This is how tight it was. This is how tight it was for us. Like this was back in the day. Like I'm a vegan now. I'm a fat ass vegan, but I've been a vegan for a good little minute.
A healthy vegan.
And I'm a healthy vegan, yeah. But a bitch is losing weight, so I'm good. And but back in the day, like McDonald's used to have like remember the cheeseburgers like 2 for $2.
Yeah.
So me and Bojan, I moved out here first and everything like that. And the shorty that I knew and stuff like that, you know, helped me come out. And then I helped him come out. And so it's like this was when like Ivar, like, you know, the library shit. This was before they did the renovation. So I would go there, like, type of stuff. So, and do query letters when that was a thing for agents and managers. And that's how John got on. And then we would go, because you guys have to sign up for a list, and then we have to sit outside and wait. I remember I got into it for a dude at the Comedy Store because he pulled out a knife on John, because John's like tall and stuff like that, and he's a good looking dude and everything like that, you know. But he was a little
tripping on him.
He was a little shy, right, and stuff like that. And for me, I'm with the shits and stuff like that, especially when I know somebody pulling on a knife. I'm like, you ain't gonna do shit with that.
Talking
yeah,
shit.
And he was
Sean
like,
looked over and was like, you're not even Puerto Rican. You ain't gonna do nothing with that knife.
but on some real shit,
come on,
the East Coast.
like on some real shit, Punchy, it was like, know what I mean? And y'all look like y'all. It was on. It looked like some Boy Scout type shit, but the way he was wielding it.
This nigga pulled out a Swiss Army. This nigga got a corkscrew. He like, hold on, that's the corkscrew.
And it was all about.
He got a Phillips out.
Because it was all about. Because back in the day, people would actually like be on a list, and then they would go and come back, and somebody would sit in the line for them. They was outside the Laugh Factory, and then the Comedy Store, right? And then of course there's this guy named Jamie and things like that, you know. And I guess he would determine blah blah blah. And someone said, you know, you probably should go talk to him. So I don't need to talk to him. It's like, well, I'm a writer. He said, well, you're funny. Oh, I know.
I know. So, I know. Thank you for reminding me.
But I don't do stand up though. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that was like back then, and I see how much everything's involved. What I do like is that people can put themselves on now.
The internet.
I feel like a lot of good people get slept on. I feel like if you really want to do some shit, you have to do it yourself. Yep. You know, and
it's not hard to do it yourself anymore.
Just show up, do your best. I've had people get. I like, there's comedian people I cut off because I peep, like I said, keep your eyes open and you see this shit.
Right.
And it was niggas I was super cool with from the beginning, and they met me when I just started in the same thing. People was like, so how long you been doing it? And I'd be like, 4 months. And they was like, nigga, I thought you was like 7 years or something, because it was just, well, I was just doing good at it, and the shit was going good.
Because you're naturally talented. And so,
exactly.
But you know, somebody told me too, because like when Punch mentioned about the camera, when I was at, because I've been covering the writer's strike, and I'm mostly at Amazon Studios, and this one shooter pulled me over, and she was like, hey, don't tell people how long you've been on the camera.
Because there's people who hate.
And
they feel you don't deserve that opportunity.
And she said, one, she says you'll miss out on jobs. And two, because I'm a forthright person, and my thing is, it's sort of like, you know, like, what's your name? Is it Cam? Yeah. Cam. And I was asking Cam like questions and stuff about the camera, and whenever I see a shooter, I always take a picture of their rig, their setup. You know, I'm always like learning and studying. You know, but what's crazy to me is like, just know, like, God, you know, what's for you is for you. We always hear people say that, right? Yep. And everything, but on some real. I've had so many people sleep on me, y'all. Just know, like, and I fuck with y'all just for having me on the podcast, stuff like that. When I'm handing out pillows, the gift bag's gonna be real nice.
Make sure it's pajamas in there too.
And you gonna want a pillow, but you ain't gonna want one. You ain't gonna
pajamas, pillows, nightcaps.
No, all of that. Because I mean,
we giving out packages.
The sleep, it's crazy how people need other people to validate someone, and I don't understand that because
they want it, and they want it because they want. I feel people want the other people around them so they can be like, look who I'm with. And they can post it on their Instagram. And like, yeah, we all post pictures. I post pictures when one of my homies or a comedian or a celebrity, nigga. And if I've talked to this person, they're like, hey, bro, you funny, keep doing your shit.
Yeah, of course.
That's what you get. And I like when people tell me that, hey, bro, you killed that shit, and we keep it pushing.
Yeah.
I done seen
but
UFC
you gonna
fighters.
Keep going regardless.
Yeah, I done
exactly.
seen UFC fighters passing in the hallway in a comedy store and chop it up for 30 seconds, and they cool. Hey, go for good shit, bro, or walking by. I've seen you over at this place, and that shit is cool, and you want that, Rick, but it's not. I don't need that shit.
I hate to sound like this, but I think the reason why is because a lot of people that are in positions to put people on or whatever, or give people their flowers, those are now the people that used to get bullied.
That's true too.
Because kids used to bully, and there was kids that would bully, and there was kids that get bullied, right?
Yeah.
The kids that got bullied are now in positions of power. And they're now, they make decisions, and they're in charge of shit now.
Hey Tony, we're live with Punch. He's now talking about the police.
So it make it difficult.
They do,
it make what I mean. It make it difficult for motherfuckers because in their minds they're still that bullied ass fucking kid.
So
like you're a grown ass. You grown as fuck now.
Yeah,
you shouldn't be thinking about that like no more. But they're still in that mentality because that's the way that They just never grew out of that shit. So in any position or whatever they do, they just always gonna have that mindset.
And it's just the Hollywood shit on top of it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So it's just you got people that got these personal issues.
You got the weird shit
with they self.
Right.
And then they gonna have a personal issue with you or somebody you cool with. And then the shit like that comes into play, and then there's on top of it's just some Hollywood shit. I'm just being.
I also feel like people out here are reluctant to make a decision, like what Punch just said about people being in position, and then they still acting like this bullied kid.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a lot of people, but I feel like there are people who are in these positions to actually change somebody's life literally, but they're not sure. They know that talent is there.
Are you going to be cool enough with me or no? What are you going to do for me?
And to me, the shit is separate because it's like you're tapped into my talent or whatever it is you like about me or whatever it is you think that about me that can make you money. Because let's be honest, at the end of the day, that's really what it is. It's the bottom line, it's the top line, the middle line. But at the end of the day, it's like people are still afraid to make decisions unless, like, say, Punch saw me and he mentioned me to Tony, and Tony see me and be like, may give me a show, he may not give me a show. I'll never know why Tony decided not to give me a show. But I feel like that's every encounter here, and yes, it's
and off of just normal thinking, how I am, I would think because Punch knows you and y'all cool, I would be like, yeah, and I got the the platform to give opportunity. Why he ain't gonna bring some bullshit or somebody that's gonna do some weird shit?
That part.
So it would, but people don't think like that, or they just like, well, I'm gonna milk it for. It's just so weird. I'm gonna take whatever I can get out of it from him and you, and then not even tell him I'm taking it from I'm skimming this off of it.
Yep.
They want to play it's weird. It's Hollywood shit, and I've seen it. I've seen people try it. Like I said, I've had people only invite me to shows because they know I smoke. Okay. And they like, hey, yo, pull up to this show out in Long Beach. And this is when I was still in L.A. Okay. And they like, yo, pull up.
Like
so-and-so having a show because they know I smoke like I smoke no matter where the fuck I'm at. Yeah. So they going to be like, and I'm like, and then it kind of hit me like, this nigga don't be hitting me. And this nigga that have been on roast me and all that kind of shit. And I was just kind of like I was like, yeah, I'll pull up, and I was like, I ain't even show up to that shit. But it was just the fact it's like I feel you only when you see me, you only over there to get high. Like this nigga be smoking good weed and he stay smoking. So it's just no matter what they can use you for.
Trying to get a good old fashioned prison buddy pass.
Yeah, like that's that shit. That shit is hilarious. Like you paying to be.
Yeah, I think that's why people get on. There's a lot of people.
I've talked about that before, and people like in comedy and meet me at a club, and then they'll be like, "Oh, I'll be waiting before a show," and they say some shit like, "Yo, so yeah, how long you been out here?" And I'm like, "Nigga, I'm since I was born, nigga." Like,
how do you answer that?
That's like that. Like I'll be like, "I'm a nigga from out here." They be like, but you can sometimes if they've been talking to you before they ask you, and then once it all click, it's like, "Oh, you was trying to be the nigga like I can show you the LA ropes, and you ain't even from LA." That's what I've seen that, and then they felt like I'm from LA.
That sounds like pimping to me.
Yeah, niggas is trying to so how long you okay out here? You okay? You feel safe? You have a place to stay? Because if you don't,
hey Punch, we're live with Punch and Tony, and Tony has been Paul Mooney.
He pulled up. I got a limo pulled up on.
Hey Tony, look,
we beaming out to like
that being that specific to us, my ass was on
that nigga Russell, he said, I swear, like my ass was
Russell.
And he said, I looked back and this nigga was just looking out the window like, just like he was sizing them up.
Have you been through any creepy shit in Hollywood since you've been out here? On any of your ventures?
Like in general?
Any weird shit where you walked away and been like, that was weird, or what the fuck? Or you walk away going, this that shit they was talking about.
No, it's usually some shit that I kind of arrived on myself. Not really. I think just because kind of how I move, like, not really. I've had like women say like crazy shit to me, in a club or something like that, or people assume something, but no, not too many weird things. You know what? I am lying. I can't say her name though, but I was at the Hollywood flea market, and it was me and a friend of mine, and I was a lot slimmer, and it was her and the chick from who played the police officer on the Wayans Brothers show.
D. Yeah, I forgot her real name.
You know
she
what
was
I'm
bad.
talking about? Right.
Anne Marie Horsford.
Yeah, she was always
right.
I thought she was bad.
And so it was her and this other chick over that. And so it's like someone who I would never assume that was gay, and she was just kind of like hollering in a way that I felt like you could be my auntie. So it's like, you know what I mean? Punching. It was just, that was a little weird. But other than that, no. Other than I just think people like lie about everything, and nothing is ever what it seems. That's why I keep like telling y'all, showing y'all love with this, because first of all, y'all vibe is different, but it's set up to me like 85 South show. I give y'all that, because like the vibe feel like when Punch pulled up, I like the whole compound vibe, and I was like, damn, we like in a Wes Anderson movie and shit like that. Not if Spike Lee was directing it, if I was directing it. And I like the little spray shit, like it had a little Brooklyn vibe before it got gentrified. Shout out to white people everywhere.
Man, what's really. Brooklyn? I haven't heard about this. What's the biggest change in Brooklyn? That's what I mean, I haven't been since I've been out here. I mean, gentrification has been alive and well for a very long time. I think people just acting like
spreading.
They act like it's brand new because now everybody knows how to spell it. Well, no, because everybody know how to spell it now. So
I still don't know how to spell it.
They be like J.
Right. Like you already know. Like they like just don't be like, wait a minute, is there I? Yeah, like there's a few, but that's always been a problem. That's happening out here. Anywhere there's working class people, and white people who really want to live elsewhere because they've gotten tired of living somewhere else.
And it's more space. They realized they was paying 1 point something million for a house,
right?
And a couple, literally like 1.5 to 3 miles up, and they can come down and pay $1,600 for the same shit,
right?
And it was like that's literally a major part of that shit where we start seeing this influx of or rent just went up.
Slowly shit started creeping over,
and then all of a sudden the windows start getting fixed, and it's police at the bus stops and shit now, like literally.
It just sucks that neighborhoods and stuff, especially like if anyone can find a historically black neighborhood in the United States, please show me where there is one, because it's like
I think the only thing left is like Lamert Park.
And there may be a few spots maybe in Chicago. I don't know.
Yeah,
like
out here it used to be like Lamert Park, man. It was like West LA, like over like Hauser and like over by Roscoe's and like Pico, La Brea, that whole area back from like La Brea to Fairfax was kind of then it picked up to the Jewish area.
Okay.
And it just went back. So it was like that was the last black area, and it was always more like it was nice, and there was a lot of shit over there because that was the last area that even black people with money could move.
Okay.
Like they couldn't move past pretty much
of course,
into Beverly Hills,
all of it,
into like Culver City. It was like it stopped like right there. So everything was very nice, and that's why they kind of came back like, oh, y'all niggas and took over, and they just slowly moved back in all of that, and it's still black people over there, but it's nowhere to what it was.
Of course.
And it's like it's very different, and it's slowly like creeping down, like, and it's in South Central now. It's like it hit from like Adams, and it's still shit go down over there, and it's still bad over there, like Crenshaw and Adams area. But once you kind of it's like the stores, they done put lights and like I said.
Well, of course, because if you notice y'all doing it.
Yeah, literally. Like you can tell, you guys, it's literally police hanging out at bus stops. I've seen people like
on
die.
The corner now recently.
Yeah.
Like people have died at that bus stop. I've seen
nobody gave a damn.
And now the same people, like it's cops just like hanging around.
Well, it goes back to whose lives is valued more than others. And, unless you guys want this to be a whole nother conversation, which I won't take it there.
Yeah,
we'll keep it light, but however y'all want to do it. But, it goes to show you, black people's lives are not valued. They're just not. That's one of the reasons why I got out the military. I mean, I went in because I didn't really have a choice. I had nowhere else to go, but it's a lot of people that's in the military and they feel like trapped and shit like that. And I don't like how they only recruit and urban or marginalized areas or underrepresented. I even hate when NBA stars and all this, they have all their charities and their organizations, and they give supposedly back to the kids, and they use these terms, and I'm like, you're at a stage in your career where you actually have a machine behind you, more or less at least one publicist that can tell you, you can just rephrase this. Let's change the narrative. Don't have this big marketing campaign talking about you change the narrative and you're giving hope to all these kids, but then you're still using these very antiquated terms. Because we're not marginalized. I'm not a minority. Minority by definition means less than. How can black people be less than when nothing moves without the influence of black culture? Period. When you stop at a stoplight, think a black man. When you pick up the internet, think a black woman.
Elevator.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like Hidden Figures, the movie. It's just so much shit that we have done. And Carlos Santana made a good point. He was like, you can't listen to any music without thinking a black person. He said, and he was talking specifically at the time to the Latin community, because he was like, he was talking about salsa, merengue, anything. He says, when you hear that, he says it's African, and like for me, if I can tiptoe on that real quick, something I don't like. Punch. It's not really weird, but something I don't like. It's for me out here. It's always underlying tension between black and brown, right? And when I'm writing, I don't group the same. I don't group them together because of that. In New York and the South of that, it's there as well for obvious reasons, but it's addressed, and there's still some semblance of respect. Out here, it just feels mad racist and hateful, and I've had different friends, who are Latin, explained to me, one of my friends, Liz, she's cool as fuck. She was like, Sean, give you an example. She says, you're talking about Mexicans when they get a little bit of money. She said that. She says, those are my uncles. She says, but they dumb as shit. And she said that. And she was like, they'll say this crazy shit, about you and won't know anything about you. And like she was trying to explain to her, I think her uncle, I was writing. He was like how? He was questioning that, like, how could I be that, And so I feel, I feel that all the time. Like, I'm super sensitive to that, and it's like it's a certain dishonesty, but when you look at everybody's rocking some shit that's from my people, from how you rock your hair to how you rocking your sneakers. No offense to LA, y'all rock a lot of dirty sneakers out here. West Coast, on the East Coast, we don't do that. That's a West Coast thing. With somebody about that. Yeah, and that's the norm. Clean them off, and that's cool. Like wipe the shits or something like that, and some of that.
Get a little toothbrush.
Yeah, get your girl to get it. She ain't doing nothing. Yeah,
circular motion.
Like a little bit. You seen the movie. It's quite a few, but that's probably my biggest thing. I talk about it with one of my boys a lot, and shout out to Mo if he's listening, Salvadorian, Guatemalan, and I ask him, I say, has it always been that way, and like when y'all go to school and stuff like that, and he says not really, because he said it just kind of is, but it's not. But I just always wanted to know, like, why. Like, I feel like people talk shit about the South. I was born and raised in the South. I moved here from New York. I'm not from New York, but most people don't know, like everybody that's in LA or anywhere in the world, your roots, if you're black, it started in the South. Your people just decided to go, and my people decided to stay. So it's no difference. And so my thing is, when you disrespect something that you don't know, you have no clear knowledge of, and then you make these sweeping generalizations, like a lot of people that's out here ain't never been to New York, ain't never been to Atlanta, ain't never been nowhere, stuff like that, and will say like the wildest shit. And I'm like, it's hoods everywhere. Y'all glorifying that shit? Motherfuckers is trying to get out the hood. That's why you on the mic. That's why you on the mic. People, I'm not saying I don't know where y'all situations are, but you know what I mean? And that's like 24/7. But if that's the one thing, I've written about it before. You can go on my blog anytime. And I haven't blogged since February this year because I made a point afterwards. I said, if it's not a script, I'm not putting that much energy in it because my blogs do read like articles. I also know that my blogs have kept me probably from getting certain things because I speak very tersely. I speak from my point of experience, but I'm also speaking the God honest truth, and I also know I'm a solid writer too. So it's like,
at the end of the day, also, can't nobody tell you how to write your own experiences. It's your fucking experiences. Everything that you write is your point of view from things that you've experienced. It's no intention to try to fucking hurt nobody or nothing like that. It's just everything that I've fucking seen. How can you be mad at me for the shit I've seen?
Right, but it's almost like, but if you ever noticed this, y'all, black people are only people that everything we say or do is heavily policed, from the average person, which I don't think anybody's average, to the biggest celebrity. You can't say or do anything if you're black moving this world. We're the only people that when we walk into spaces, our body is surveilled to the point where an everyday citizen can walk up and question why me and Tony standing there. We could be just bullshitting over a pack of Skittles. But because Tony handed it to me and then it look like I'm walking out, but I'm really walking to the register, she feel like she can actually say something to me. And so my whole thing is just like, that's why we say the word free-ish, because we not really. You know what I mean? And I feel like black people do a lot. Nothing moves without our influence, but at the end of the day, we're still learning about ourselves and our history while having to share our culture with the whole world. And I have a problem with that, because my whole thing is like look at TikTok. It's people that's who not black who get paid to be black. But black TikTok creators and shit like that, their content gets pushed down. You won't see it on the For You page.
It's muted and deleted.
Oh, please say that. They deleted.
No, they did it to
Tony,
us.
They deleted. They muted. Well, Shaq. They muted something. I put a Dora Explorer type thing on it, but Shaq is in the clip doing like this. So the song when it's going ding 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 ding. It's funny as fuck, y'all. I'm a funny motherfucker. And somebody reported it for bullying. You know, they had that shit on lock for like 2 months. Now, mind you, y'all, I'm using the songs from their selection, from their playlist.
They say is okay to use.
You know,
they encourage.
Right. So for me, at the end of the day, it's almost like it's something I always talk to God about. I was like, you know, it just always feels like we're always under a thumb, or we're under like it's almost like. Yeah, like we're cool. Like it's. I used to say this even. I used to say it's cool for everybody to be black except black people.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna end on that rant, y'all.
That's all. And we're gonna end it on, in the words of Paul Mooney, everybody wants to be a nigga, but nobody wants to be a nigga. And that's a Paul Mooney quote. Like,
I know.
He really is like, and nobody wants to be a nigga when it's time to be a nigga.
Yeah.
Like,
which there's never not a time.
Yeah,
and it's not that
exactly.
people are not trying to be. Black people out here living and living their lives. You think black people want to talk about slavery and all this shit 24/7? Nobody talks about
that
it.
Shit illegal.
Yeah, black people don't even. Yeah, they're trying to say we came over as immigrants. Motherfuckers didn't even ask to get on a boat.
But we gonna wrap it up.
Yeah.
Tell them where they can find you, what you got coming up.
Let's see. You can find me on IG, Shon_Lomax. I just started also too, because I'm always in Venice, filming hoops, filming just the culture, skate, basketball. I just started a new page called Venice Flicks. You can find that on IG. And also, please follow my TikTok. If you hoop, if you don't hoop, you know, it's dope. It's called Venice Stories. It's one word. It's Venice and then STORYS. You know, I want to thank all the fellas for having me today. It was mad dope. It's mad smoky in here. It's mad dope. You know what I mean? I don't smoke, but you know what I'm saying? I drink and I think, but I don't smoke until you feel me and everything. But I appreciate y'all.
Oh yeah, your boy DJ Punch. Make sure you follow me at I am DJ Punch. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. The host Shabam Boo Baby. Make sure you follow the Unhirables podcast. Make sure you follow Innovative Culture at innovative.culture. Make sure you subscribe to the youtube.com/Innovative Culture.
So that's Tony Grams. Follow me on IG at Tony Grams, TONY_GRAMS. And let's see what's good. I got to repost everything on my stories, my upcoming shows. And I'll be bringing the shows back to the Crow's Nest pretty soon, probably in about like 2 weeks. Just putting it together so all the booking, everybody could hit me up for that. So, shit, see what's good.
Oh, y'all waiting for me?
Yeah, we waiting for Cool Ass Cam.
All right, I'm Cool Ass Cam. Coolest motherfucker on the planet. You can follow me at COOLAZZCAM. Tap in with our website, www.theinnovativeculture.com. Follow us on Instagram at innovative.culture and innovative.comedy. And what's the last shit? Subscribe to our YouTube at youtube.com/Innovative Culture.
All that.
Cool Ass Cam.
Innovative.
Y'all dope, man.
Innovative comedy.
Innovative.